I don't want to make a choice, but I have to. So I take Dahlia. She remains the favorite, although it's not fair, because Huxley too is a cool guy. You still feel Huxley is better suited as something of a distraction for Dahlia. Flawed little thing that she is, you wouldn't have kept her this long if you didn't have some attachment to her. Especially with how poorly she gets along with other toys. She's quite lucky that even though she's so much trouble, you have quite the sentimental view of her. Hopefully the clown learns his place with time and stops bringing down the mood for her. Huh? I doubt that. If not, you could always make some adjustments. But nothing can last forever. It's clear enough the honeymoon phase is coming to an end by the argument you find already in progress when you check on the house today. Huxley, you've picked out our game 3 times in a row. We're going to play what I want to today. You literally offered to let me choose. You can't say you don't care what we play and then take it back because you didn't like what I picked. I didn't know you were going to pick the worst one when I said that. The worst one? You seemed fine with it the other day. But fine, let's play this one instead. You like Parlor Detective, don't you? Are you serious? I'm just more in the mood for a word game. Words don't come easy to me. So you had a specific game in mind. I didn't realize which one I wanted until now. It's not as though I planned to argue with you. Could have fooled me. You're so sour, Huxley. I'll get the game set up while you're over there sulking. You'll feel better once we start playing. Hey, Whisker, what do you make of this? The rabbit looks up from his place on the little pet bed on the floor. He seems uneasy at being addressed in the middle of their tiff. Whisker doesn't even talk, Huxley. I know you're playing some joke. Whisker, do you think Dahlia already started the game without me? I'm still setting it up. Because I'm starting to think we are playing charades or ESP tester. Or maybe just mind games. I don't think expecting you to take me at my word requires you to be psychic. The only funny thing about this is how silly you are acting over some board games. Yeah, well, maybe I'm not in the mood for your kind of game. So, you're pitching a fit over not getting your way? Ha, that's rich. No, if you just said what you wanted from the beginning, I wouldn't care. Honestly, if you wanted to watch paint dry and you were serious about it, that'd be fine with me. But I'd rather drink paint than get jerked around. Then enjoy the taste of your new colors. I'm not in the mood to play anymore. Dahlia shoves the little letter tabs and the game board back into the box she had been removing them from. Even Huxley looks a bit surprised at this reaction, but primarily he looks irritated. It's odd to see him so worked up. There are conflicts in the air. I can smell them. Though he has been more lively since Dahlia helped him get back on his feet, it's rare to see him feel so strongly about anything. The generous state of ennui he carries himself with leaves little room for such emotional outbursts. Not beyond a sarcastic remark anyway. So seeing him like this, it's a little worrisome. Once the game is put away, Dahlia moves to push him along toward the door, meeting resistance when she does. What are you doing? We are not going to be playing anything now, so I want some time to myself. Get out of my room. How mature of you, Miss Dahlia. Really befitting a lady of your caliber. Out! You will regret this. The clown finally exits the room and she slams the door behind him. With him gone, she sighs and presses her back to the door. It takes her a few moments, but she gathers herself and straightens out her dress and then her hair. When she looks around and sees Whiskers is no longer in the room either, she sits down on her bed and takes up her diary and pen from her dresser. I swear, I can't count on anyone to just be civil. She begins to write. You decide to leave her to her personal writing. The next morning you decide to check in on the dollhouse to make sure things have cooled off from the day before. Dahlia is waiting in the kitchen, presumably for the other toys. She seems to be lost in thought. The distant look leaves her face when Huxley enters the room. You can tell by his expression he's wary of what she might say to him. Presumably, they haven't spoken since their fight. It's probably good that you are here to watch them just in case. Good morning, Dahlia. His tone is flat, cautious, perhaps. Good morning, Huxley. Dahlia's greeting is chipper. Her tone sing-song as though she doesn't even recall the fight before. The clown is caught off guard for a moment by this, but regains his composure. I was just waiting to make breakfast. I assume Whisker won't be joining us, but that's all right. I'll leave out some leftovers for him. What will we be having today? You're leaving it to me to choose? Oh, sorry, I wasn't asking you. She must mean you, then. Okay, I choose oatmeal. Let's do this. You flip open one of the cupboards with the tip of your finger. The little canister of oats falls out onto the counter. Huxley looks deeply uncomfortable from the moment your hand enters the dollhouse to when it disappears from his sight. He lets out a slow breath as soon as your hand is gone from his view. You needn't be afraid of me. Though the interaction was very brief, you have a feeling that you've unnerved him greatly. He doesn't like me anymore because I chose Dahlia as my favorite. I bet he's jealous. It's normal to be intimidated by the presence of a being so much larger than oneself, but you aren't used to getting this kind of reaction from a toy. Aren't they supposed to like their owners? Yes, like Chucky. Let's have a child's play. How irritating. We'll have oatmeal then. Do you like yours with brown sugar or with fruit, Huxley, or both? I'll have it however you have it. How can you tell when they are here anyway? You asked so readily. Oh, I ask every day. You usually sleep in though, Mr. Lazybones. Lazy, no bones? Yeah, well, I was having trouble sleeping, so I'm up early. Oh, let's have some chamomile tea before bed tonight then. I'm sure you'll sleep well then. With a knife in your back. Yeah, but that's for later. For now, I'll put on some black tea for you and I'll make our oatmeal. You just sit at the table. All right, thanks, Dahlia. He does as he's told. It's not lost on you that it was definitely not a request. The troubled look on his face says that he noticed that as well. But breakfast is well underway, and the two seem to be getting along well enough. So you leave them be so they can enjoy their morning in peace. How long will this peace last? Your hopes that the toys wouldn't need much more supervision to keep getting along turn out to be a little too optimistic. You find yourself regularly checking in on them when you hear arguments breaking out in the dollhouse. Despite Huxley's originally harsh demeanor toward Dahlia, when she would snap at him, you find he is becoming more and more upset by these developments. You should have chosen him as your favorite. You never really took him for the emotional type. You're not sure what to make of it, but Dahlia is convinced that he has only crocodile tears for her. Even if so, you find yourself worried about the state of the dollhouse if they continue to bicker this way. You only brought Huxley in as a way to keep her entertained and to provide her some company that would actually talk to her, but you're starting to wonder if that was the right decision. The mood in the house has become unhospitable, and you sometimes find yourself considering separating the two by adding an extra wall to divide the dollhouse. But that would hardly be a practical solution. Like every other day, you find yourself checking on the dollhouse when it becomes too quiet. You need to see what the two inside are up to. You see Dahlia is currently having some tea in the kitchen by herself. She seems fairly content. Yes, because shitty Huxley is not here. But you did hear another fight earlier. Did she kill the clown? You check the attic for Huxley next, expecting to find him moping by himself after another rough day. But he's not there. What is he doing in there? You watch in silence. Whisker rests on the pet bed in the room, and his head turns to look at the clown as he crosses the room. Huxley brings an arm up to his own face and mimes a shushing noise, a little difficult to do without fingers, but the rabbit seems to understand. He lays his head back down and Huxley continues across the room. What is this jerk planning? He lingers at the bookshelf, bending down to examine the spine of each entry there. He checks the board games as well. What is he looking for? this little prick? Not finding what he's looking for, he heads to the dresser next. Does he want to spy on Dahlia? His eyes wander over the basket of flowers and the clutter of small desk items Dahlia keeps there. A little notepad with a list of chores and repairs to be made sits on top. He leaves through this but drops it back in place once he sees how mundane its contents are. His lips tightened in discomfort. He slowly opens the first drawer of the dresser. He shuts it much more quickly than he opened it. At least you can be sure he wasn't looking for the contents of that one. He opens the next one and this time reaches inside. Dahlia's diary. Evil guy. Shame on you. He closes the drawer and leaves the room, heading right back up to the attic with his findings. Whisker gives a worried frown from his position on the pet bed. This is a bad idea. The lock on the diary is a minor obstacle. He simply uses a small knife from the kitchen to cut it as close to where it attaches to the book as possible. It can just be glued back into place. Huxley opens the book and sets it out on one of the dusty boxes so that he can more easily read it and turn the pages. I hope he gets caught. His touch is careful, aware of how suspicious it would be for any of the diary's pages to be ripped. Though he notices right away some of the older ones are missing. You originally had taken those out for Dahlia, but now you're glad. You did for an entirely different reason. You never thought about other toys snooping. Dear Diary, I can't seem to find my old journal, so we'll be starting fresh. But it is a lovely day for such fresh starts. Rose finished another painting today for the foyer. The results are beautiful. She is such a talent with paint. I wish that I could make anything half as lovely. I can at least say I provide something in return since I'm working on a new dress for her. I do hope that she likes it. Is Rose another doll? Dear Diary, I've asked for some flowers to put up some arrangements around the house. Since Rose paints so many flowers, I'm sure she would like some for her still lifes as well. I'm not sure why I'm bothering though with how difficult she's been lately. It seems like she disagrees with me just for the sake of it, even on the littlest thing. I'm not going to say anything to her about it, but I wish that she would stop regardless. Honestly, I think she's jealous of me. It's the only thing I can think of. Rose used to be so sweet, but now it's like walking on glass to be around her. Or is it eggshells? Either way, she needs to stop picking fights with me. Our owner is only excited by her because she's something new enough to still be a novelty. If she thinks that means she's better than me, her wooden head is as empty as it sounds when the wind blows through the house. Hoo! A crude drawing of a doll's head with wind blowing in one ear and out the other adorns the next page. I would like to see this. A couple after that are removed. I'm terribly lonely here. I think the owner sent Rose away due to my complaints. I haven't seen her in days and they won't answer me as to her whereabouts. Or has it been weeks? I'm not sure anymore. I suppose it can't have been days since I'm having difficulty remembering exactly when we last spoke, even picturing her face. I wish she had left behind some self-portraits. I miss her dearly. Huxley frowns and skips ahead past many pages of mundane daily goings on around the empty house. They range from cheerfully recountings of craft projects to desperate letters to no one expounding on her loneliness. A new home with new faces. I was able to bring a few things with me, but it feels quite frightening all the same. Luckily, Lucille has been a very gracious host. She shares everything with me with an eagerness that tells me she has been as lonely as I have in these past years. Though I don't enjoy sleeping in the attic, it's rather eerie up here. I feel terribly out of place. Like Huxley now. Maybe if I wish hard enough, I'll return to the home I know. Huxley eyes the old bed frame that now holds his own bed. He had just assumed Dahlia had always lived here, and it was her home. Lucille is not what I thought she was. She's so cruel when she wants to be. Today we sat on the roof together to see the stars. She pushed me. The owner doesn't believe me. They replaced the arm that was damaged, but my face can't quite be restored. My eye. I feel so broken beyond that though. Perhaps I'm just very unlucky, but nothing ever quite works out in my favor. If I can convince the owner of what Lucille did, perhaps they'll actually do something. But until then, I think I'll just be avoiding her. Lest I say something that would further prevent any sort of peaceful resolution. Great. mobbing exists even among dolls. She deserved it. They wouldn't have done that if she didn't. The puppet stares at the pages, chewing his lip and looking deep in thought. He leaves through the next quiet stage of Dahlia's life until he finds another name. Is it his? No. After so long, the owner has gifted me new friends. Theodore and Whisker are a delightful little pair. Is Theodore a whisker like? Is Theodore a rabbit like Whisker? I would never say so to them, but I'm a little disappointed that the owner didn't think to bring me a doll like myself. But Theodore is still a kindly gentleman, even if he is rather fussy. So what is he? He's not Whisker and he's not a rabbit. So what is he? A teddy bear? And Whisker knows so many tricks. Such an agile little thing. I'm sure we're going to get along grandly. This section seems to be missing the most pages. There are areas where even Dahlia writes about her frustration with her diary being tampered with and how often she finds herself confused about past events the other toys discuss with her. Eventually, Huxley finds in the newer pages that Theodore's name simply isn't mentioned again. Not even in a memoir fashion as when Dahlia lamented the loss of her initial friend. Huxley finds the more recent entries as he seeks the point where he initially arrived. Now we can be curious. Finally, a friend, yes, and what a wonderful friend. A new friend who might be as sad as me, but at least he speaks. At least it's not only me now, at least I can look at his face and recognize him. I had started to think perhaps the owner hated me. They placate me with gifts, but they never let me out anymore. And I know they have other toys. I can see them from the window working on their projects. Only just barely. I don't always understand what I'm seeing, but I know that's what they are working with. Unknowable things, but knowable faces. If Huxley hadn't arrived, I don't know what I would have done. I was at my wit's end, but finally things are normal again. Huxley is a curious fellow. I rather appreciate the humor he brings to the house, even if I wish Whisker wouldn't look at him quite so interestedly. Whisker ignores me when he can. But I'm happy to share my books and my time with Huxley. I don't know if he understands our situation quite the same way that I do, but he likely already knows that there won't be more toys added to this home after him. Unless one of us were to be replaced, of course. But I wouldn't let that happen. Rather, I would kill Huxley. Wouldn't let either of us be replaced, or wouldn't let herself be replaced? That's a good question. The rest of this is just about things we've done together, though she does kind of talk about me like she thinks I'm stupid or something. Huxley frowns and finally closes the diary. I hope you get caught in the act. This was a waste of time. No, I think it was quite interesting to get to know something about Dahlia's past and the other dolls she lived together with. And now I have to fix the strap too. I remember seeing some glue in Dahlia's scrapbooking supplies. I'll just use that. He leaves the attic to return the book to its original hiding place in the bedroom. Dahlia is already there. Yes. Why are you acting like that, Whisker? You funny little bunny. You've never tried to play with my things before. Now give my hairbrush back. Come, come. Huh? Huxley tries haphazardly to hide the book behind his loose sleeves. Oh, hey, Dahlia. Ah, hello, Huxley. Did you need something? No, I was just... It was really quiet up in the attic. Oh, isn't it always though? She smiles, amused by what sounds to her like a very silly excuse to come find her. I was just brushing my hair until Whisker stole my brush, silly little thing. Maybe he wanted to show you something. Maybe he wanted to show you that your diary is missing. Whisker tenses as Dahlia reaches for him. He squeaks as she picks him up by the scruff. Dahlia, be careful. That looks really, uncomfortable for him. Oh, he's just being dramatic. He always is when I pick him up. She tugs on the brush in Whisker's paws. Huxley finally catches on to why the rabbit is acting so strange. He tries to inch closer to the dresser, while Dahlia is occupied with Whisker. The book slides right out of his grip and onto the floor when he tries to lean over toward the dresser. Yes, now there will be a fight. Ah! Dahlia drops Whisker, her eyes trailing right down to where her diary lies on the floor. She looks stunned. But only for a moment. What are you doing? Dahlia, that's my private writing. What's wrong with you? Coming into my room and stealing things, you horrible creature. Yes, far more than that. You are a prick. And not a good friend. I had a reason, okay? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. What reason could you possibly have for rifling through my drawers and violating my privacy? I share everything with you, Huxley. I should at least have my own thoughts to myself. I wanted to know what was going on in your head. You've been getting really mean with me lately. So I thought I'd just see what I was doing wrong. If it was me or you, or if I was doing something that was upsetting you. I should have just talked to you about it. You're accusing me of being mean when you've stolen from me? And just how have I mistreated you, Huxley? This is my home, and I'm sharing it with you. I make you food, and I play games with you. I even fixed you. I wasn't broken, you know. And that's part of it. You do things for me, but then you act like I owe you. Like you're counting how many favors you've given me to turn in later. Plus, you get so angry about everything if it doesn't go your way. I don't want to feel like I have to watch every little thing I say or you'll get upset. You have an awful attitude, Huxley. What am I supposed to say? Being upset by your rude behavior isn't unreasonable. Disagreeing with you isn't rude. So is stealing not rude either? I already apologized. And if the things I do for you make you feel so awful, then I don't think I should do anything for you anymore. You ingrate. You're being ridiculous about this. Coming from a clown. Maybe you're right. Maybe you weren't broken before like I thought. Maybe you're just made wrong in the first place. Dahlia cups her hands around her mouth and looks up at the ceiling. You can take your spring back. We don't want it anymore. Dahlia, get rid of it. Get it out of my house. Stop it. Huxley shoves Dahlia backwards, causing her to stumble. She trips over Whisker, who scurries to try to get out of the way. There's a quiet crack when she hits the ground. Huxley stares at her with her eyes wide. I didn't mean. You decide you've seen enough of this. Wait! Oh no. I punish him. You scoop the clown out of the dollhouse as Dahlia picks herself back up. You can see her limp as she steps forward. Likely some minor leg damage. You'll have to fix that. As for Huxley, clearly giving him equal footing with Dahlia in the home was a mistake. You carefully tear out the sections of fabric that keep the spring in place in the puppet's body. Once it's done, you set the metal piece aside. It's what she asked for, after all. And in this case, you are inclined to agree with her. You gently place Huxley back into the dollhouse. His breathing is heavy and his body trembles as he lies on the floor, unwilling to get back up just yet. He's so sensitive about any sort of contact with you. Pitiful, really. Dahlia brushes off her dress and frowns down at him on the ground. He looks back at her with glossy eyes. Dahlia. Huxley's expression betrays the level of hurt he's feeling. Even beyond the physical change, this is clearly an incredibly deep betrayal in his eyes. He will take revenge. What? You got by without it before. But since you think my input doesn't matter anymore, there's no reason to keep using the thing I decided to give you, right? You'll figure something out all by yourself. Unless you decide to take back what you said and plead with me for forgiveness. Huxley's expression darkens and he goes quiet. The silence hangs thickly in the air, stifling the mood in the room. Whisker looks uneasy, despite the look not being directed at him. He's quick to leave the room. Well? Dahlia, if you really think you are right about this, your face isn't the only thing that's cracked. The doll's eyes widen, and she shoots the clown an incredulous, infuriated look. Is that so? I guess I'll be taking the attic back as well. You came with the room anyway, didn't you? You can sleep in that box. How about you give me your bed instead, since you'll have to sleep in mine, if you want to keep me out of it. You're so ridiculous. I thought we were friends, but your jealousy clearly is too much for you to overcome. It's such a pity. Why couldn't you just play nicely, Huxley? I was playing nice. That was my mistake. Just watch yourself. If you're thinking about getting mean with me, Harlequin. You know, our other friend would be quick to punish you if you raised a hand to me. Huxley's eyes search the room, passing over the ceiling, the windows. He's afraid of me. That's a pity. He knows you're watching, which he should. You don't want him getting any ideas, considering you already had to confiscate the spring. And just like that he seems to lose all energy. You are right. It's pointless. So, why don't you just go crawl in your box? Huxley says nothing as he leaves the room, having to pull himself along on the floor. When he reaches the stairs, Whisker at least helps him along, once he's sure Dahlia can't see. Dahlia, on the other hand, is looking pleased with herself, despite the edge of sourness. Still affecting her mood. Honestly, can you believe the nerve of him? I do so much for him, and he decides to treat me like this in my own home. Clearly he forgot whose house this is. Yes, it's my house, not yours. Little doll, be aware when the night begins. I shouldn't have expected much sense from a clown anyway. Thank you for looking out for me. I knew you would. We've been through so much together. I love you, my dear. When you check on Huxley, he really has returned to his box, curled up inside much like when you first put him in the house. You imagine that he'll get over his mood with enough time. Hopefully, he comes back out with a new attitude as well. You expected a little better when you chose him, honestly. In any case, you're glad that that little problem has been taken care of. It's not over. Problems are staying alive, staying alive. Later in the evening, a surprisingly loud sound draws your attention back to the dollhouse. You check the foyer first. A large mirror near the attic door remains intact. Huxley doesn't seem to be in the box anymore. He must have snuck back up to the attic to sleep. He doesn't seem to be present here either. And it appears the picture frame in this room also wasn't the source of the noise, as it's still in one piece. You already saw into the kitchen from the entryway, and it was completely dark. So that leaves Dahlia's room. Right. You decide to check Dahlia's room. Though it's unlikely, she does have decorative window. It would be possible to break, as well as various glass knickknacks. It looks like she's awake as well, as you see a dark shape on her bed. Closer to the bed, you realize there is something lying on the floor. The brass night piece? You're putting off the inevitable. You finally move the curtains on Dahlia's bed to look in on her. Ah, you're here already. One of a million evil clowns. I kind of expected to see you in the morning. Whoopsie. I guess this is a little awkward for you, isn't it? You look at Dahlia's remains on the bed. One of her glass eyes rests on the comforter. You painstakingly replicated her original one after she was first damaged. Now there isn't even a face to house it. She's only porcelain, but somehow the sight of her head, completely disfigured like this, still feels horribly cruel. You're probably still looking at her, right? You spoiled her, you know. It's pretty awful of you to put me in this position, but maybe worse for her. I can't imagine someone gets to be in her position without being enabled in some ways. Maybe that's why she couldn't get along with anyone before me. But hey, you have a new favorite now, right? No, I haven't. This would be too easy. You prick. Jealous idiot. Even if you hate me, I'm the only one now. Or do you only like pretty little dolls? Oh, I didn't do anything to Whisker. I haven't seen him since I got the chess piece from the attic. What do you care, anyway? If you liked him, you wouldn't have let Dahlia treat him like a pet. Doesn't matter now. I hope he got out. You're probably going to break me now anyway, right? Would you like this? Do you think this would be the best way to escape. Better he doesn't have to see that or see her. My heart is too big. I keep him. It is well and truly tempting to pick the puppet up and pop his little sculpted head right off his shoulders. But what would be the point of that? You'd have nothing left, just an empty dollhouse. You're not sure how you managed to lose control of the situation so quickly. You were only away for a little while. You shouldn't have to watch the house for every second of every day and night to avoid these kinds of disasters. You could never stop it when it happened with Dahlia. Of course, you couldn't stop it when it happened to her either. In the end, maybe it is on you for not maintaining a better balance in the household. No, I'm not guilty at all. You can't be sure. I am sure. You leave the dollhouse alone for now. You may come back to check on Huxley and start the arduous task of attempting to build a connection with him. Huxley, the killer clown. It shouldn't be impossible, even if he is the difficult type. Dahlia was the difficult type too. It took a lot of work to get her to do as you wanted, and involved a lot of compromising. Maybe too much compromising. If you hope to ever introduce new toys to the dollhouse again, you'll have to hope you've learned from your mistakes with her. The clown caught you off guard this time, but you'll soon be in control once more. Your new favorite. Can he ever be my new favorite after what he did to Dahlia? I'm not really sure. Now, I will dare it. And the last consequences will be brutal and absolute. Now I break him. You're sure it's what he wants anyway. You easily take the puppet out of the dollhouse and tear him in half in your hands. His fabric body shreds with minimal effort. What a waste. Dahlia is beyond repair. Huxley was a disaster. That rabbit has completely vanished. You'll have to start over from scratch. You don't even know if you have it in you at this point. Just take a break. Perhaps you'll avoid choosing such big egos in your next project. You should try it with Chucky. It only causes trouble when they crave to be in control, knowing you're the only one with any control here. Well, save for instances like tonight. Even humans can't control everything. You spoil her.